Hi, and welcome back to the 2023 Spooky Season Debate. We've got a great debate for you today. We have some good candidates. Let's introduce them right now.
Hi.
I'm Seth, and I'm ready to tear Clark apart.
And Seth, before we move to Clark, who are you representing today?
I'm representing the vastly misunderstood vampires of this world.
Well, but before we get into the vampires, I believe we're doing you're supporting the mummies.
Yes,
correct?
and mummies don't get enough love.
Okay,
So I'm representing both.
Well, thank you for being here. We're really glad to have you.
Absolutely.
And Clark, you're here. We appreciate you being here.
I am here. I am Clark, aka the Reverend Michael Snakebite, and I am representing the vastly underappreciated scarecrows. Because I don't forget who my clients are, but also I'm representing the appropriately rated witches who will dominate the vampires. So.
Well, we are excited for both of you to be here, representing your client, your candidates. Let me, you as the audience members, we're gonna just break it down real quick. Each side is gonna have 3 minutes to answer the questions that you have submitted for them, and then there's one mystery question at the very end. Each side will have 1 minute to rebut the other sides after they are done, and then a 2-minute closing session after that bracket is done. And without further ado, we will get started. Before that, candidates, do you have any questions?
I'm ready.
First.
The first person that will be going will be the Scarecrows. Scarecrows, are you ready for your first question?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. How would you go about protecting your domain? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The scarecrow by nature is protecting his domain. It's its entire purpose. It's what it is there to do. A mummy is doing nothing except existing within its own place of burial. So if somebody wants to say, there's a curse or something like that, no, it doesn't matter. The scarecrow is still a watching being. It doesn't have to rely on some kind of curse or some kind of magic to protect itself. It actually will do the protecting itself. So I at that point I would rest my case. I think the scarecrow is just dominant because it's already there and it's protecting its habitat. Its entire purpose is built around that.
Okay. You still have 2 minutes to answer the question. Would you like to bank that time, though?
I would bank that time. I don't think I need it.
Okay. You have 2 minutes banked. Now, Team Mummy, what is your rebut? You have 1 minute.
My only rebuttal is we're talking about something stuffed with hay. We're talking about something that has so little strength that it has to be nailed up to a post. We're talking about something that has no hands. What is it going to do? Protect its place by getting in some farm equipment and turning a key and driving some big tilling operating machine like you see in the movies to wipe out the competition or invading forces. I mean, yeah, it's there watching, but I don't know if it can actually protect you outside of that. You know, I maybe an alert system, but we're really pushing the line now. And
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Very good. Now, the same question goes to you. You will have 3 minutes to answer it. How would you go about protecting your domain? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, as everyone knows, and Clark kind of brushed on this, that mummies come with a lot of fortified walls, tunnels, and block work to start with. And, you know, if you want to throw in a curse or two, you know, you've got a nice perimeter of just thick blocks, usually subterranean, And then the few access points you have are guarded by different curses. Whoever, wants to break in, maybe they're going to shave later and catch some kind of disease and pass away unexpectedly. You've got a lot of magic at work too. I mean, once the mummy is awake and prowling for any victims that may have breached that cursed entrance, you've got a lot of capabilities at hand. You've got a lot of bandages that can be used for strangulation. It's just overall, I see more fortification and in terms of defense and a lot of offense. You've got your curses, you got your strangulations, you got your and they're terrifying. I mean, have you ever been chased down a hallway by a mummy? It's terrifying. So you've got a lot of built-in things there, and I'm done.
Okay, you have a minute and a half remaining. You said you'd like to bank that?
I would.
Okay. And Team Scarecrow, you have 1 minute to rebut anything that he had said. Your time starts now.
Well, he wanted to point out very quickly that, my client's stuffed with nothing but, hay, straw, things like that. But all of the organs have been stripped from your client. They have nothing living amongst them anymore. They've been pretty much desiccated and dried out. And if all we're banking on is walls and magic to protect them, I don't think that the character in question is actually able to defend for themselves. So that's just something I want to point out.
Okay. All right. Very good. Now, what we'll be doing is, since Scarecrow, you answered the first question, the second question will go straight to you, Team Mummy. You will answer this. Question number 2. Seeing that both of you have negative lore behind you, please elaborate on how you would win the hearts and the minds of your constituents. 3 minutes starts now.
To me, Mummy? Okay. Well, you gotta remember that these were once people. These were once human beings. They wanted to have a secure passage into the afterlife. They want all of their organs, which have been removed, but they're basically articulated still. The organs need to be kept in close proximity. They sometimes have little armies of figurines. They have a lot of different things. They just want to be like you. They just want to have a nice, relaxing existence and their stuff to take with them to the next realm. And they're just people at the end of the day. Just because a heart isn't ajar doesn't mean that the cosmic heart doesn't beat with them. And all the curses and stuff you hear about, all the scary stuff, they're just put in place so I don't want to disparage anybody in need, but there's robbers, and it kind of messes with the mummy's vibe to have all that. So they got to have some protections put in place, and just put yourself in their shoes. That's all I ask. I'm done.
Okay, you have a minute and 30 seconds left. Would you like to bank that?
I would.
Okay. All right, Team Scarecrow, you have 1 minute to rebut. Your time starts now.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's much to rebut here. And also, I think that my adversary here is banking his time that he is not going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and call him out on that. Mummies are trying to win the hearts and minds. If we're doing that, I mean, who are they inspiring other than history nerds like me to just look up their failures and their faults? That's all they are corpses to us. So I don't really have anything else to say.
Okay. All right, Team Scarecrow. The second question was, seeing that you have both negative lore behind you, please elaborate on how you would win the hearts and the minds of your constituents. Your 3 minutes starts now.
All right, so I'd like to say personally, right now, scarecrows are an icon They are something that we actually celebrate on Halloween. They have a whole season. Nobody is actually putting mummies out for like some kind of seasonal celebration. They're not anything that we actually celebrate. Like, you have to be like specific study to actually want to seek out and like go see mummies. Scarecrows, by the way, are everywhere right now. It's October as we're recording this, and I've got scarecrows all up and down my neighborhood. This is great. So they are they're fascinating. They're an icon. So of course they're winning hearts and minds. I mean, no one's putting mummies up in their front yards right now. So that's all I'm gonna say. I don't even think I need the rest of my time for that. They are an icon.
Okay, you still have 2 minutes. Would you like to bank that?
I mean, I'll bank it, and I don't think I'll need it.
Oh, okay. Well, Team Mummy, you have 1 minute to rebut anything that he had said. Your 1 minute starts now.
Well, I agree with the sentiment that banking time doesn't necessarily mean you need it. So calling me out, saying I need more time, I don't know about that. I feel like that's a little bit of a low blow. But at the same time, I mean, winning hearts and minds, and you're going to say that what about inspiring others to do the same? You're a person just like they were. Why don't you have a exit strategy for this life? Why don't you start figuring out what you want to do? They are a nice symbol of what somebody could do to protect their vessel as it remains here in this plane. And when I think about the Scarecrow, it's just a bunch of fluff, kind of like the hay that you stuff them with. It's meant to symbolize something, but what really goes on? The crows are the ones doing all the work. They're always hanging around. What are they doing? They're doing all the heavy lifting. And then the Scarecrow, you know, if he can even get down off his post that he's nailed to, is he just gonna shimmy around with that like of hay? I don't buy it, and there's nothing that someone can relate to this heartless, fluffy being that is just full of hay. I'm sorry, but that's all I've got to say there.
Okay, I would like to remind you that you did go 30 seconds over your time. That's okay. You had 3 minutes backed
Okay.
up, so I'm taking 30 seconds off yours, so you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Next question that we will have will go to the Scarecrow. How would you maintain your physique? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, it's easy. Calisthenics. I mean, you're hanging up there all day, so you know, shoulders, traps, all that is already getting worked out. When it comes time for business, you know, you got to run through the corn maze. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't even think 3 minutes can stop that. Like, that's all you do. Fucking calisthenics, man. It's like yoga. You're working the pose. I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Look at that. Look at that. Ripped. Ripped.
Are you still have about 2 minutes left? Do you want to bank that time?
That is it. That is it, man. I mean, you're hanging from there. You're just getting the calisthenics down, then you're getting the traps. You're getting the shoulders worked out. You're getting the bites. You're getting the fucking forearms done. Yeah.
Okay. Team Mummy, you have 1 minute to rebut. Go ahead.
I don't know what a bunch of working out is going to do for someone that has no muscle fibers. I don't know what that even means. But you know, when it comes to mummies, you know, we've got you know, we have muscle and all of these things. And if there was a spell that brought us back, you know, there's a lot of framework there to work with. And you want to talk about muscle growth? Mummies are resting. That's when you have the most that's when you have the most muscle growth and synthesis. You know, if you're straining all the time, where's the rest? Where's the growth in that muscle tissue, if you have any? And that's all I got to say about that.
Okay. All right. Very good. Team Mummy, same question goes for you. How would you maintain your physique? You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Well, like I said, we would be focusing on rest periods. That they had an entire life to break down that muscle tissue, and a really long resting period to once that spell happens and you're awake, you've had a lot of time to rest for all your max gains, and at the same time, what was the question again?
How would you maintain your physique?
And so outside of all the resting,
Case.
like even if there was some kind of issue once they're walking around, you've got a lot of bandages and tight. Have you ever seen someone with a kind of a messed up leg or circulatory problems? Usually when you bind and wrap limbs, you can solve a lot of issues, and we already got that built in, my friend. So and then all you got to do is once you're awake, you just suck a guy's face off. You just like open up your bandages and just suck all that skin in and re-articulate yourself. So yeah,
You still have a minute.
I'm done.
and a half remaining? Okay. I will add that to your bank time. Team Scarecrow, you have 1 minute to rebut.
Do I?
Your time starts now.
I'm a fair sport. Just let him have until he can stop. Don't start the clock.
I don't need a minute. I don't need a minute. I'm still tired of sucking guys' faces off.
Team Scarecrow, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, well. All right. So, have you ever seen a mummy in real life? If you have, they are very tiny, tiny people because evolution has changed for a long time. God damn it, I cannot do this right now. All right. Oh, this is gold. This is gold. But yes, he wanted to make fun of the fact that I'm stuffing straw in my scarecrows, but I can make my scarecrow as big as I want to. You can't change the size of a mummy, and the fact that historically they are tiny, tiny people. They are very short, they're very small, and they're very skinny, and they're desiccated. So yeah, I just don't think that they're physically capable of competing. And that's all I want to say. I don't want to. I would definitely not like to tackle the fact of sucking men's faces off. So let's.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. I'm not gonna lie. Were you answering or were you rebutting?
I don't know. I don't know what just happened.
I think that was his rebuttal.
That was his
Yeah.
rebuttal. Okay. All right. We're on to the last question. The the mystery question. Okay. This is for the Scarecrow. You will be answering this first. Oh, no, correction. It's the Mummy. You will be answering this one actually first. How would you win in a hand-to-hand fight against your opponent? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, all right. All I'm gonna say is I'm gonna go right back down to the strangulation tactics. You've got a lot of bandages. You can, if you are really in a crunch, you could break off one of your hands. You might have a little bit of a sharp kind of forearm bone and be stabby with it, but you can also crumple up that dust and blow it in his eyes, which would severely disable him. Now, when it comes to anything else, a lot of times mummies are wrapped with like meteorite daggers, like Tut was. Maybe that's melee. Maybe I'm going outside the bounds of hand to hand, but sticking to hand, I mean, you got a lot of dust, you got a lot of bandages to choke, you've got stabby, brittle bones that can be just turn into a weapon. It's still yours, still part of your body. There's a lot of methods, and I don't even have to get into the magic of anything else. So I'm done.
Okay. Team Scarecrow, you have 1 minute to rebut anything that he had said. Your 1 minute starts now.
I mean, I think the rebuttal would be the question at this point. So we don't need to, hang around with the subtleties of that. Let's just go ahead and say this is my answer to the question. And that is, he's already trying to place things like, oh, I've got brittle bones and I got bandages, things like that. So the Scarecrow is fibrous. He's not cutting. He's not doing anything. Even if he has weapons he was buried with, which Scarecrow does not need, you're not actually going to be able to damage the Scarecrow. It's fibrous. It's tough. It's not going to be something you can break. Whereas the mummy is brittle. He even said in his argument, brittle bones, that he would possibly use as a weapon. So he's already saying that him breaking down is a weapon itself. So I think it's just a matter of time before the mummy is pretty much rendered useless, because its bones are going to break, its skin is going to fall to ash, and everything is just going to be useless. Whereas the Scarecrow, fibrous, he's not going to be able to cut through it. He's not going to be able to break anything. He's not going to be able to do anything. Scarecrow is just dominant.
Okay. Team Scarecrow, you same question goes for you. How would you win in a hand-to-hand combat against your opponent? You have 3 minutes to answer the question. Time starts now.
Well, I wouldn't suck men's faces. I rest my case.
Okay. Team Mummy, you have 1 minute to rebut. Your time starts now.
I'm just saying, all anyone has to do is go to your favorite search engine and go to the video tab and search in pillow fight. There's no actual damage being done. And essentially all of Scarecrow is just a very fluffy thing hitting you. It'd be like being attacked by pillows. Like, granted, maybe there's some brittleness to the mummy, maybe there's some dustiness, but overall my bandages are going to hold, he's going to hold together. He's got all these fights. Okay, fine. I can't inflict damage, but there's no damage being done to me from a big pillow monster. So I rest my case.
Okay. At this time, there are no further questions. You each will have 2 minutes for your closing arguments. Team Mummy, you will be going first. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Well, all I have to say is, think of yourself and what you want to be done. These were people at one point, have a heart, understand that all the curses and all the spooky stuff associated with mummies are really just to keep them safe. I mean, they're not jumping around, having lookouts and knowing what's going on. They've got to have well-fortified conditions. They've got to have all their valuables safe, all their organs safe, themselves safe, and they just want to just vibe out in their chamber doing their mummy thing. And who are you to judge that? Who are you to just come in and be like, oh, this or that or whatever? I'm just saying, I don't understand how somebody could look to a Scarecrow and have any kind of semblance of like, oh yeah, I understand. There's no understanding there. They weren't people at one point. These were people, and just think if you were in their shoes.
Okay. Team Scarecrow, you also have 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
I agree with everything my colleague just said. They were people, but they weren't all equal people. They weren't all great people. They weren't all successful people. Also, mummies are all across the world. It's not just Egyptian mummies. There's also Incan mummies. There's, South American. There's bog people. There's in England and Scotland. We should also realize that mummies shouldn't be so narrowed down to something that's actually idolized as like as a scary figure, because most of them are just inept, and most of them were accidentally or intentionally killed and mummified. There's also like subcontinent in India and in Bangladesh, things like that. So I just want to say, maybe we're taking the idea that a mummy is actually a scary thing and not realizing that it's really not that scary. Whereas the Scarecrow was made intentionally to be scary, to be dominant, to scare things off, and it is a Halloween staple. And we've just created this Hollywood mind of a mummy possibly having powers and being something other than what it is, which is just an unintentionally preserved corpse.
Oh.
I'll end it there.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank both candidates for supporting the ones that you chose, and please again tell the audience members who you are now supporting, whether it be a witch or vampire.
Well, I will be supporting the vampire plan. So
I will be on Team Witch.
Okay, all right, that's very good. And we have the questions trickling in now. We will start with the vampires. The first question that we have for you is, what makes you a more powerful candidate? Your 3 minutes starts now.
immortality, powers, the ability to bite someone and they bend to your every will. Have a little henchman around. You can have a whole army of like not fully turned individuals that just do your bidding while you rest during the day. And I mean, just get a fresh body and you're invincible. And the older we live, the more powerful we become. Okay, fine. We've got sunlight to worry about, but so much can be done about that. There's a lot of modern technology and advancements in ways to shield yourself from UV, so we don't necessarily have to worry too much about daytime. There can be buildings and stuff where operations are going, but we can also get rest during, and everyone else rests. So just because it's on an opposite timetable doesn't really mean anything. And I would just first off, an immense amount of powers and abilities, immortality, the fact that it's extremely hard to exterminate one. I mean, there's just too much to go into at this point. I'm going to go ahead and bank the rest of my time and talk about the rest later because it's going to come up.
Okay, all right. You banked 1 minute and 30 seconds. Team Witch, you have 1 minute to rebut anything that he had said. Your 1 minute starts now.
Yeah, well, first off, they're called thralls, vampire thralls, and you should have known that had you done your research from my colleague. So I'm going to go ahead and call him out on that. Second off, there's nothing that a vampire does that a witch can't psychically do as well. So your speed, power, bites, all that stuff, it basically comes to naught when you're dealing with a witch who actually can circle off and protect themselves, and also have thralls, have those that can do their being, their I guess doings for them. So
Okay. Uh, Team Witch, what makes you a more powerful candidate? 3 minutes starts now.
Well, that's the thing is like we're not trying to arm wrestle here. We're not going to physically overpower a vampire, and I understand that. But with witches, they have the longer range psychic ability to defend against anything a vampire can do. They will not ever be able to get inside their actual range of biting and stuff like that. Witches can inflict pain from distance. They can inflict hurt from distance, and that's basically what it is. So I'm not worried about a vampire coming in to the domain of a witch and just physically overpowering them. So it will never come to that because they will never actually get within range of a witch to actually attack them.
Okay. You have 2 minutes remaining. Would you like to bank that?
Oh yeah, I'll bank that.
Okay. All right. Team Vampire, you have 1 minute to rebut anything that he had said.
Well,
Starts
look,
now.
I'm a simple man. I'm a common man, a man of the people, and I'm not, educated and from a big city like my opponent here. So I feel like that was a low blow. But all I have to say is, I just my guys just have to find a vault hidden from the witches and just outlive them. Just take a really long nap and don't have to worry about them anymore. And long range, oh, all I have to do is gaze. Just get that eye lock on that witch, and she's done. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. The second question that we have, Team Witch, you'll be starting this one. While you may appear young, how would you appeal to the younger generations? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Wait, who
Well, I
is that
think
to?
right now,
Oh, sorry.
as a few minutes, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine, dear. So right now, this generation is actually very fond of homeopathic wellness and things like that, and so it's very easy to get into witchcraft, Wiccan, I guess, beliefs we could say, whether it be just as easy as astrology or going into actually taking in certain herbs like chamomile, things like that, things that you have around, lilacs, things that are just going around, and you can actually mix and do things around. This is fun and interesting, and it's chemistry. I had a chemistry set when I was little, and it was all synthetic. So having natural stuff around, I find that fascinating. So yeah, definitely this generation would be adept to actually looking into some of these things and just finding out ways you can actually maybe benefit your own health or benefit the health of others, and just mixing your own teas and things like that, or even scents, lotions, things like that. I mean, it starts small and then it goes bigger from there. So I don't think it's a very hard transition to actually just say, hey, these are natural ingredients. This is what the earth gave us. And now we can transition that into other things. And then you kind of grow from there. So yeah, I think drawing in young people is easy for witchcraft. Now, vampirism? What are you going to do? Just bite them? Okay. There we go.
Okay, you have 1 minute remaining. I will add that to your banked time. Vampire, you have 1 minute to rebut. Time starts now.
Oh, I mean, we're really talking about two different things. We're coming from two different worlds here. You're gonna. I really think, and I'll talk about it in the next part and with my question. But I really think we're just talking about like what do you want out of life? And right now, all I'm hearing is kind of herbs and superstition and all this old folk stuff. But it just doesn't hit. with the accumulated knowledge of the vampires, there's so much more information on things to be had and can be divvied out. And when it comes to my question, I'll hash that out. But I'm done. I don't have to defend myself to a bunch of dry herbs and bones hanging in the kitchen in some shack.
Okay. Team Vampire, same question goes to you. While you may appear young, how would you appeal to the younger generation? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you like the soft skin on your face when you're young? Do you like the fact that certain body parts are tight and have a youthful appearance? Well, all you have to do is look to the vampires. Not only do they have an accumulated amount of technological and scientific knowledge from the eons. I mean, they've seen it all. They've seen this little tiny thing where, they figured out herbs and this and that. They've seen all that, but they've seen other scientific advancements. They know it all. And I would like to say, if a young person wants to stay young, there's a lot of options here. We can start a program where you come in and you voluntarily give blood to the vampires, and you're blessed with some blood sprinkling to where wounds heal, and all of these things. Knowledge is given, peace and order in your civilization is given, as long as we have a nice back and forth of voluntary blood exchange. And the thing, and if you've done it, if you've been a lifetime member, well, then you can become a vampire. You can be brought into the premium plan and be bit, and then have that youthful appearance, have that springy body that you've always wanted and want to maintain and keep, and look into herbs and this and that. Kids want to stay young. And what better way than to go with the vampires and just live your best life, do whatever you want. There's very few rules, and you will have a youthful appearance indefinitely, and you're extremely hard to damage or kill. So, I mean, there we go.
Okay, you have 1 minute remaining. I'll add that to your banked time. Which you have 1 minute to rebut anything that that the vampire said. 1 minute starts now.
Hey kids, do you want to have Alzheimer's forever? Because that's what's going to happen when you live for 500 years. You're going to forget all the relationships you've ever had. You're going to forget everybody you've ever loved. It's going to eventually get down to the point where nothing matters anymore. A cup of coffee will just be like a second in your life. You'll have no joy for anything you ever do. Immortality sounds great on paper, but it's not. Also, witchcraft knowledge is passed down. He's saying knowledge is inherently passed down because you have the experience through life. No, you're going to forget that shit. When you're 600 years old, you're going to forget everything. What if the world burns? You're just going to be alone by yourself. You've had 9 wives that have died, whatever, multiple things. You're going to be miserable. And all you want is for it to end. So go ahead and enjoy what you have right now and make the most out of your life. And actually do things that benefit you. Join witchcraft. Wiccans are great.
Okay, you went a little bit over on time. I will take that from your banked time. You still have 2 minutes and 30 seconds that are banked. Team Vampire, your next question. An angry mob is after you. How would you be more equipped to handle this mob? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, I guess I can use my thralls and plant them in the crowds. I could cause dissent and questions. I could play mind games on the leaders that kind of started this just ill thought out riot, and manage it kind of manipulate it from that angle. Also, my thralls could also protect me during the day in a very fortified vault. And then once it's nighttime and I gather enough intel on who's who's causing who's organizing these things, I'm just gonna go and tear them apart. I mean, our future needs peace and order, not all of this like I'm gonna grab a pitchfork and a torch, and that's just chaos. And humanity has had enough of it. It's time for a new era of enlightenment and peace and calm, with just a few conditions. It's very simple, but it would be very easy to quell one of these riots. I mean, we've talked about the eye gaze, we've talked about the thralls, we've talked about finding them at night, the amount of speed that a vampire could go to each house and just squash that rebellion is unbelievably fast. And also, every time there is someone that has to be taken out, they're just nourishment. So that's all I got.
Okay, you banked 1 minute right there, so you're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds that are banked. Team Witch, you have 1 minute to rebut. Time starts now.
Well, I think that a vampire would have to reveal itself to actually, if a mob were to attack it, even if he was holed up in whatever cell he has or whatever he has constructed around himself, he's gonna have to reveal himself, and that's the problem. So, it's gonna cause problems for vampires everywhere. So, I think that's selfish, and I think that's a bad move, personally. So that's all I'm really going to go with is the fact that, I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, if a mob wants to take out a vampire's only option is to like go full sail and just go crazy on everything, and it's like, well, that's a bad look. It's a bad look for you. So I'm just calling it out, saying like, that's not maybe that's not the best look, especially if you got the thralls out there in front and you're doing like you got people, they don't want that. You're causing innocent lives to get killed. Yeah, I mean you're demonizing your entire species and that area especially for them, and you'll just cause hunts for nothing. So
Okay. You did go a little bit over on time. I'm gonna have to some dock some time from your banked, so it was about 30 seconds. But for you, Witch, same question goes to you. An angry mob is after you. How would you be more equipped to handle this mob? Your 3 minutes starts now.
well, if I'm in an enclosed place, I think I would do some kind of spell to perpetuate my spirit if possible, or pass on any knowledge that I can down to the next generation, and then I would concede my fate. It sounds crazy, but no. Concede fate. Take the death. That's something the vampire isn't brave enough to do.
You still have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Would you like to use that time?
Do I need to say anything else? I think that's as stout as it can be. You take the death, you take it with your head held high, you pass down whatever knowledge, or you pass down your spirit, however you can do it.
Okay. Team Vampire, you have 1 minute to rebut. Your time starts now.
These old feeble concepts of death and dying with pride, it will all be okay if you're immortal. It's such an empty gesture that ultimately yields no fruit. You're dead. You can no longer pass down your information as witches seem to do, rather than just accumulate it. I mean, there's just a lot of problems with that, and it's just why were they after the witch in the first place? And then all of a sudden they think it's so noble to die. I mean, give me a break. I just don't have anything else to say. It's just an old feeble mindset from a dying era.
Okay, all right. And the last question that we have for you gentlemen is question number 4. How would you win in a hand-to-hand combat against your opponent? Team Witch, this one goes to you first. Your 3 minutes starts now.
I'm not going to pretend that Witch can overpower a vampire in any time, place, position. There's just not going to happen. It's got to be long range. It has to be cursed. The vampire must be weakened before it's able to be taken down. So I would say daylight, and already cursed and weakened. That's the only advantage we have. I will not pretend that we can physically overpower in hand-to-hand a vampire.
Okay. Yeah, your time remaining, I will add that into your bank. Team Vampire, you have 1 minute to rebut anything that he said. Time starts now.
I mean, I would just agree. I mean, vastly physically superior, long range. I'll get into that with my question, but the odds are absolutely stacked against them. There's just no way, and that's all I've got right now. And I'll address some of my main concerns with my question.
Okay. Team Vampire, how would you win in a hand-to-hand combat against your opponent? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Razor sharp nails, razor sharp teeth. The fact that a vampire could just, the amount of speed, get behind the witch all of a sudden, rip her head off. The amount of speed, the amount of tricks, and the thing that I wanted to address, to say that of all the time the vampire's been alive, that they haven't had the time or the know-how to figure out and adopt and know these witchy practices. I mean, the vampires already know all their tricks. Who's to say that a vampire couldn't practice and learn some of these tricks? So we've got that on our side, just the sheer retention of information. And then the physical capabilities. I mean, it's just not a competition in my mind. So I'm done.
Okay. All right. And at this time, we will have our closing statements from both sides. Team Vampire, we'll start with you first. Correction, I forgot to allow Team Witch to rebut anything that the vampire said. Your 1 minute starts now, Team Witch.
I mean, I think we approached it, and at the same time, he's also assuming that these aren't like such entrenched practices to know what vampires are able to do. Witches are very aware that there are other supernatural creatures that exist. Not saying witches are supernatural, but they are aware of the supernatural, and they have done nothing but study this their entire lives for generations and generations and generations. So, he's assuming that they are inherently able to do the same things that they are, and that's just not true. So we're gonna go ahead and bank on the fact that witches are already have all of the blanks on vampires, basically. So I just don't think it's going to be as easy as he thinks it is, even though I gave him the credit of the physical 1-to-1. It's just not a competition. But getting to the witch and getting to the witch at the certain time of day when they're able to actually get to the witch would be, I would say, troublesome at best.
Okay. And now at this time, both sides will have 2 minutes to say any final thoughts. Team Vampire, you will start this off. You have 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
Well, I've got a lot of things to say. The fact is that there's so many things that we could all accomplish together. The fact that it's, I don't know. Do you want to live longer? Do you want to stay young? And I want to address some of the memory issues for a second that Clark brought up. The issue is that technology in general can't catch up with our old way. We've gathered a lot of science, we've gathered a lot of information, and if there's ever memory issues and problems with that capability, memory implants, just augmentation. If you choose vampire, we can go to the stars together. We can build castles, and not to say that we can't also build spaceships. Are you worried about overpopulation and all of these things? Just forget about it, because we'll be able to build ships, go to the stars, create Dyson spheres, harness the energy from those, create castles on distant planets, spread across the universe, and just generally live forever. Have amazing, just crazy orgies, just all the pleasure you can think of. You're youthful, you're sound. We have like this nice back and forth with humans for food, but also at a certain point, you can be brought into the fold and be one of us yourselves. And I think that we have a whole lot to offer. We can enter in a new era and not worry about all this old bickering and old world stuff. I'm sorry, but if you choose vampire, you're choosing the right side, and let's explore the universe together.
Okay. And Team Witch, you now have 2 minutes as well to any closing statements that you want to add. Your 2 minutes starts now.
That is very inspirational, and I enjoy that. But at the same time, do you want to live for 500 years and see generations of people die? Or do you want to take care of the planet we have now and actually embrace what we have and grow? I mean, Gaia, if you want to call it that, Earth, whatever you want to say. Do you want to actually enjoy the planet we have here and take care of it and actually use its bounty to take care of ourselves and our people we love, as opposed to maybe searching the stars with fucking immortal, soulless fucking people? I mean, that sounds great, but they're lost. They've watched everyone they love die, and they're gonna do that over and over and over and over and over for generations and generations. Or you can do right now, take care of Mother Earth, use it to your own will, and be more powerful for it and be more happy for it. And that's what Wiccans are, what witchcraft is. So
Okay. All right. Well, both sides, we heard a lot of good arguments, from starting with scarecrows and going into the mummies. We also heard a lot of good things from the witches and vampires. Now, you as the audience member, you need to soak in all of this information, and you need to let us know, who do you think won? Was it the scarecrow versus the mummy, or was it the witch and the vampire? Now, it's not necessarily, the scarecrow and mummy won. It's Scarecrow versus the mummy. So between those two, you need to pick. And then between the witch and the vampire, you need to pick as well. Leave comments, email us, and just thank you very much for tuning in to this 2023 spooky season debate. I was your moderator, Alex, and we will catch you next time. And just remember that old saying that we have here, that we don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.
When I was at the bottom of the pit, screaming in the darkness, racked with unspeakable was rightfully mine. He graced me with his light, his hot, loving light. It flowed over me like the pulse of a timeless wave. A wave of pure heat. A main line of pure and total acceptance. And he talked to me, addressed me as a friend. He said, they were wrong. And you are right. So right.